to another episode of Morelia Python Radio. And in this episode, it's just me and Owen. I always enjoy chatting with Owen one-on-one. I just throw ideas out into the world and we discuss. In this episode, we get into some updates on how our breeding season is progressing. Where do we hope to take our reptile projects in the upcoming year? We talk about some of the struggles that a keeper may have with having a wide variety of species as opposed to a more focused type of collection. This is always a struggle. So many cool reptiles, so little space. We close it out with Owen's take on some of the harder to breed species. Owen has a number of these species that would be considered hard to breed, and we chat about his thoughts on how he will try to have success where others have failed. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Welcome to Morelia Python Radio, episode 485. And in this episode, it's just me and Owen. We're going to be talking about all kinds of topics.
Everything, anything.
All kinds of stuff. Additions, breeding, updates.
Oh, my God.
All kinds of stuff.
I keep forgetting. It's like, oh, we're in the midst of breeding season right now, man. It's like...
It's kind of weird, right?
Well, it hasn't sunk home yet because I'm in that wonderful little... transition that I usually am in every February where I'm like, nothing's breeding, there are no eggs coming. It's like, God, I'm terrible. And then like in 2 months from now, I'm be like, there's so many eggs, why did I do this to myself? Like, yeah, so listen, I have to go through my routine. Everybody has their breeding routine. My routine is usually valleys of severe depression and sadness and loathing, followed by peaks of too many eggs and loathing. Like it's a lot of loathing. So
what have I done?
What have I done to myself? Yeah. So
it's good to know that you're not the only one, because apparently a lot of people think the same way.
Everybody,
including
does that.
Myself. You get to the point like, oh, nothing's going to happen, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what have I done?
It's what'll happen is, first off, we throw ourselves off because we start seeing eggs being produced in Australia for the past like 2 months, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Wait, Sydney, nothing. Like it's nothing. I'm doing nothing wrong. And then in the next couple months, you're going to start seeing the early clutches where people who actually have animals in the US that have produced get the early clutches, and immediately you're going to be like, what have I done wrong? It's like, nothing. You've done nothing wrong. Like it just, your shit's going to go later. So
yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, well, let's start there. Let's
go there. Yeah. Pinpoint pair.
What how's the season going? Are you warm? Are you warming up yet?
I'm warming up, and I have filled the freezer of non-rodent things, and then I'm going to Hamburg this weekend to pick up rodents. So there will be great feasts happening here on Sunday where I'm doing nothing, but every animal is getting fed. I went to my friend's place, and they're like, "Oh, we had to pop by this this food market near us, and they had weird things." I'm like, "What kind of weird things?" And they're like, "Well, we'll take you." I'm like, "Yes, you will." And I went. It was like chicken necks and catfish heads and frog legs and everything else under the sun you could imagine. So I'm just filling this cart. Like it was just like full of stuff. So
oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody's getting fed this weekend. I've warmed up a little bit and I've started some small feedings, but this weekend it'll be like separate everybody, then try to feed everybody, and then repair everybody, which is somehow like right now I have 3 female carpets that I know are definitely gravid.
Okay.
Just by touch, and also I have an ultrasound. So
oh, there's that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's so I know that, but then there's also there's about 3 or 4 other girls that I'm on the fence about, and I haven't really seen a lot of action. So sometimes separating them, feeding both the male and the female, they'll eat. I don't know if you can't really see, but you can see my rough scale python boy. He's in the top cage.
Yeah.
He has been all over the place.
What is he on?
That's a rock ledge.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's the rock ledge, but
that's really cool.
He will be up. He's been up against that glass, like flaying around, and he's off food.
Okay.
Because the girl is a girl is right underneath him, and I guess he wants to get in there. And then there will be one more cage up here next week that will be the other female. And then once quarantine is cleared, he'll go in with her. So, but he's raging all over the place right now, trying to get in there. And I think that he would probably be. This will probably be the last season that I really have to deal with him going off food in the winter, because I think I would have more carpet males off food if they weren't locked in with their females 24/7 for the last couple months.
Yeah, I wonder how much that affects them.
I don't either. I don't know, because dude, I have some boys that are totally not for it. Like, I warmed up all the colubrids, pulled them all out, and tried to feed the pine snakes, and my 2 pine snake males refused food. But they had just been warmed up and just introduced to the females. Also, my Vietnamese Blue Beauty male refused food.
Huh.
So, but
what are you going to do if you breed all these colubrids?
No. Don't ruin my beautiful schemes with logic. Like, what are you going to do, Owen? Like, that's future Owen's problem, and that guy's a dick. So it is. So listen. Again, process. We have to get to that point where the incubator is full and something else is laying eggs, and I go, dear Lord, what have I done? Like, we have to get to that Oppenheimer moment of what have I done?
You might have to do internal incubation.
That's what we had to do last year. Last year we had to do the tiger incubation. Just see, like I told you. Look at him.
Oh yeah,
dancing around like an idiot. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but they didn't eat. So giving them a little bit more time, a couple weeks in with the girls, they'll probably eat next time.
Okay.
So I don't know if I didn't introduce the carpet males like I do, would they refuse food because they'd have that one thing on their head? But I mean, several of these males have already bred their females, so they're not thinking about it. They want food now. Like, it's
I think it was on a I want to say it was on the Aussie Her podcast.
Yeah,
might have been Scott talking about it, but I'm not 100%. But anyway, basically, we're keeping snakes in a room, and what happens if you're keeping multiple species, right? And let's just say that those snakes eat snakes, are they always turned on by the fact that there's
another one in there? I don't know.
Similar to like rodents. Would you know what I mean? You know how your snakes like pop up?
Dude, listen, I come walking through that room with a bucket full of fuzzies, and I have my adult retic is like, oh, what's in there? Like, it's
right.
Yeah. That's a problem with these varied diets. They'll eat anything now. It's like, I'm throwing out fish and there's a carpet python. I'm like, what's going on in there? Like, it is. Yeah. So it's a blessing and a curse. So
yeah, that's something I never thought about, but
dude,
I don't know.
I'm itching to try. I got the chicken necks.
Yep.
It's like a one of those.
Yeah.
It's a tube. It's a sausage. It's a chicken neck,
basically.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'll give shit'll eat that. Like, and I have a vacuum sealer for bags and stuff because I buy meat in bulk. And Jim had that weird thing where he bought pigs and had them slaughtered, which is happening again this year. My father's becoming a farmer.
Okay, fair enough.
No, it's not good. But something to think about.
I can see him in a pair of overalls.
I really can't. And something about how he needs to purchase pigs and cows to have slaughtered to fight inflation, and that's all I got out of him. So,
God.
So many things wrong.
Oh God,
there's so many things. But anyway, if we have Carpet Fest, I'll have food so to provide.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but
whatever we get.
But the so there's all that kind of stuff. So I have that vacuum sealer. So I buy these things and I just split them out so you can thaw out the whole bag and feed them up and chunk out stuff like that. So it's really helpful.
It seems that you have started sort of a
did I do something?
It seems like you've started sort of a trend in this whole like varied diet.
I really didn't want to do that. I really didn't mean to be an influential person. Like I think when you fed the carpet,
I think when you fed the carpet the fish,
that
was like
I screwed myself with that.
They're like, wait, carpet can eat a fish?
It's got a mouth, doesn't it? And dude,
I wonder-
that female is just packing down mice now. I mean, there's no stopping her. But yeah, she was on minnows.
That's the weird thing about carpets, right? So that one you're talking about,
Eating
ate
fine
like
here.
a champ here. Perfect.
Didn't like
Never
it here.
had no problem. Never refused a meal. Nothing. You take it. Same state. Pretty much the
Same setup.
weather.
Maybe
all
a
kind of
different
stuff.
bin. Like it was
Right. And all of a sudden it doesn't eat.
Yeah.
Right. So I had the same problem with this Tully jungle. Right.
Ugh.
So Rob has this female Tully jungle. He sends it to me. He's like, here you go. It's the carpet Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Jungle carpet.
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful carpet. I mean, the perfect jungle carpet in all regards. Yellow and black, solid, beautiful snake. Locality, animal. What else can you ask for? Anyway, the worst time getting this thing to eat, to the point where I was talking to Rob maybe like a month ago, and I was like, dude, it's only eaten once, and I've had this thing for like 7 months.
Jesus.
And it didn't lose any weight or anything like that.
So
and I'm
it
like,
put itself into some kind of like it's almost like when they're refusing food because they feel like they should be refusing food, they slow down their metabolism. So it really takes them a long time to look like shit. So yeah.
So I know that Rob produces his own mice, right? So he breeds his own mice. So I'm thinking like, well, let me try a mouse, right? And like, let me see what happens. Nothing, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe because the mice are, maybe he's breeding a different strain of mice or something like that. If that's a thing, I'm assuming
there are several strains of mouse, all developed for different scientific uses. We just refer to them in the reptile world as the white mouse, which is actually a Swiss line, the little black mouse, and then then there's the fancy mice. Those come in multiple colors. The fucking mouse, but they're different sizes and stuff like that. Yeah,
gotcha. So. Well, I was feeding it white mice, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't eat it. So I said, all right, let me try a small rat. Maybe a rat will work. Tried a rat. Nothing. Now, it would wrap the rat, but it wouldn't eat it.
I hate
so
that.
I'm thinking
I hate that.
I'm like, oh, it's one of these carpets.
I hate those things. Where it's just like
you got to circle back.
I got to feed everybody else and come back to you, and you're standing there going, yeah.
My Cape York male is the same way.
Well, the worst thing is that so they bite it, they wrap it, they drop it, you circle back, but now it's switched on, it's pissed off. So you're trying to get the rat, it's swinging at you, and like it bites the tail and wraps the tail and whips it over here. And yep, this is world.
So yeah, from there, I tried to chick, I tried to quail, then I just stopped for a while. I was like, okay, let me just take a break, because actually at that point we were sort of heading into the winter.
Right.
So this would be an example of where I would like not follow my rule where everything doesn't eat, right? Because of the fact that it hasn't eaten, right? And like it's not losing weight, so I'm sort of paying attention to it, make sure that everything's good.
Like to solve the problem now, as opposed to like trying to massively quickly solve the problem as the animal's like on its last legs. It's like,
yeah. So I'm thinking like maybe it's just the change.
It's the pressure. We have to put it in some kind of tube to get it at the same kind of pressure of air, like in Colorado altitude.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking like, and then I was at the point where I was talking to Rob, and I was like, Rob, man, this thing isn't eating. And he's like, are you going to send it back? And I was like, no, I'm not being beat by this fucking jungle carpet. I'm not being beat by it.
I have raised so many carpet. Fuck this thing. It will bow to my will.
Yeah, well, yes, it's not going to get me. So, but I honestly, I was at the point where I was like, shit, I might have to send it back. Yeah. Because I mean, how long can it go without eating?
You know how disheartening it is? Because I mean, my female Ruffy was always the worst feeder for me. My older girl went before she died, always the worst one feeder for me, to the point where I sent her to my friend Andrew, and he took her, put her in a bin, and then an hour later sent me a video of her eating a rat that she aced right out of the bin. And I was like, I hate this thing. Like,
I know.
I hate this thing.
I feel your pain. I know for sure if I send that back to Rob, that he would be sending me a pics like, I don't know what's wrong, man.
Right out of the box.
I don't know, man. Maybe you just don't know as much as you think you know about carpets. You'd be like, son of a bitch.
God damn
but
it.
I was like, no, you're not going to beat me.
Nope.
But then at the same time, I'm having the, Owen on my other side of my shoulder going, dude, there's only,
you really want to kill this thing and make a point, man?
Like, this is the Tully jungle, it's not like there's a whole lot of them out there. It's sort of like, no pressure or anything.
It's the albino Timor argument. You sure you want to be known for that? To be that guy?
Like, God damn it!
No,
I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be that guy.
God, I'm gonna be that
project.
dude. Where it's like we had Tully jungles till Eric tried to make a point to make his feed for him. Yeah,
yeah.
Oh God.
So Christian Parr sent me a mail, right?
Right.
And so actually there was a mail that came from Nick. So both of these snakes came from Nick, right? So I'm thinking like, maybe it just has to. Now the mail
eats
no
everything inside. Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I did have a Tully jungle from Nick in the past, and he told me that he had a hard time with it getting it going, right? So I'm thinking like maybe the line is just difficult. You just have to find the right thing.
Yeah. Find the thing that sets them. It does. I mean, and you find the thing that sets them off, and then they'll eat like crazy. So yeah.
So I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking like, okay, let me put my hat on. Let me think about this.
Waiting for you to drift into like hamsters. Hamsters will do it. Like
No. I circled back to mice, and I said the weather here warmed up like the past couple of days, and I'm like, I'm taking advantage of this. So I went and I thawed out some mice, and I said they were smaller, right, than what I would normally give. So. We've talked about this a lot. Me, you, Rob, Keith, Justin, everybody. We've talked about like, where a snake in the wild is not going to be like, this is a small mouse. I can't eat this. I need a large mouse. How dare you bring me this small mouse?
You'd imagine the snake in like hunting position. Nope.
Yes.
Nope. Nope. Too big.
Keep it moving.
Not the right color. Like it's just like no. Something move. Kill it. Like it is
correct. So I'm thinking like, okay, let me offer. So this is and maybe I'm just new to this way of thinking, and I'm learning. Again, as you sort of step out of the box of, keeping just one thing, you start to look at problems a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You guys already kind of do because you, Riley, Rob, Keith, Matt, all you guys keep all these different things.
I love playing the game of will the snake eat it? Like it is. Holy shit, yeah. Like it is.
Maybe that could go on the YouTube channel. Hello and welcome to the MPO. We'll get you one of those big long microphones.
Yeah, well, I mean, then that's
Price is Right.
Yeah, that's the problem is. The problem is, so like I go to this market and I go with my best friend and his 3-year-old son, who is totally, absolutely obsessed with the snakes that I have. And the entire time, will they eat this? I don't know. Like, and he's like, what about this one? What about this? What about this? I'm like, I don't know. So now I have to send him a video of all the things that he hadn't purchased because he wants to know if the snake would eat it. Yeah. But he's like, what about this? I'm like, buddy, that is a cow tongue. I don't think so. Like it is,
right?
But maybe. So,
right.
I like where your head's at, kid.
Retake, mate.
But yeah, dude, it's so yeah. But yeah, you're right.
I took some of Rob's thoughts and I said, okay, let me try I never really messed with prey size, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if I had a problem feeder, I always switched the prey
rather than just
never really
down.
Thought about the size, right? So I went smaller, and I would say like not hopper, like right. Like as soon as it's not a hopper.
Yeah, because that's let's put it this way. When you get a bag of hoppers, sometimes there are some hoppers that you would easily qualify as a small mouse. Then there are some hoppers that are like, that is a fuzzy. Like it's there is a variety of the bag, which is why when I tell people when they get snakes, I'm like, feed it hoppers. Start with the small shit in the bag and then work your way up. By the time you're at the end of the bag, it'll be big enough. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because one person's hopper is another person's small mouse,
right? And also
another person's fuzzy,
exactly.
Another person, you know what I mean?
I remember some guy came up to me at Hamburg and he's like, "I'm going to start selling rodents, and I wanted to give you a free sample." And he gives me a bag of about 4 rats, and I'm like, "Oh, cool! Like these are smalls." He goes, "Those are my mediums." I'm like, Like, I'm like, dude, like, come on. But
Right.
because there is no consistency, like you said that.
Right.
And also what I'm saying about the bag of like starting in the small hoppers and then working your way up, that's good if you have one snake. I have to thaw out an entire bag of hoppers,
Yes.
like it's gone.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it makes it difficult. So there's consistency with like if you're with a specific
if you
producer
go
of
to the
rodents,
same
and
guy,
you stay with that same person
Yes.
over and over and over
they
again.
They have the
you're gonna have
gram weight
consistency.
of each
Right.
individual size, and that's exactly right. But if you bounce around to different, like the medium rats for Rodent Pro is not the medium rats that I get from my guy over
Right.
here who breeds my rodents, but you know, my guy doesn't have many of the birds or other things like that, so I usually get the birds from over there. So yeah.
So I fought out 3 of these. We'll call them small mice, right?
Okay.
And I went. I was like, okay, if it's warm now, I'm gonna feed it like right at like I think it was like maybe 4:00 in the afternoon.
Mm.
And don't you know that thing ate it without a problem? Like just nailed it.
Like nailed it. Like it was
never an issue. So I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm just thinking like, okay, so was that size that really like, was it the fact that I'm giving it a small rat? I'm giving it a large mouse. I'm giving it
and this is
small
almost
chick.
This is almost an adult size animal, or
nah?
juvie sub.
Say it's like the size of one of my males. So like
my
maybe
yearlings,
700, 900 grams. So, yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah, one of my big babies got it.
I just heard that. Yes, yes. I sort of wasn't paying attention.
Just going over it.
I was like, oh, wait a minute.
You become immune to such things. You just keep rolling.
This is the professionalism we talk about at the NPR network. We just push through.
Push through. Don't listen.
Always
to
go forward.
Always
backward.
And always twirling. Yeah. It was.
Simpsons reference.
I know.
See, I'm getting good.
Doing much better.
I've been practicing.
God, we were talking. That's right. We were talking to Chuck, and we were like, "Oh, it's all it is in herping." He goes, "Yeah, Justin said that." I'm like, "When you say it like that, it sounds like a bad thing." Like, it's
well, it's a bad thing if you're not into the Simpsons. Damn it! I wish I was part of the cool club. Why am I sitting here not knowing what these jokes are about?
We all know. Listen, I know how we're going to get new copies of the carpet book, okay?
Right.
Dr. Julander, I now speak directly to you. How much DDP will it take to get 2 copies of the book? Tell me, and it will become yours.
DDP.
Sweet lady DDP. I will have a truck arrive at your house. Like it would.
Right.
Yeah, a pallet of Sweet Lady DDP is waiting for you in your driveway. 2 books.
And if you fall through, we're going to Nick.
Yeah.
And we're going to offer him protein
shakes.
powder. As much protein powder as you could ever want. The best kind. Whey protein.
Who's going to bend first? Like
we will see.
One of you are going to break first, but
yeah.
Christ. I don't know.
So I got it going.
Well, I mean, I've had that experience where you're raising animals up and you switch them over to the others to like you move them up a size a little bit, and they all look like just fat hippos, and you're like, well, either they're all gonna puke or they're gonna keep it all down. It's like so, or it usually happens where I run out of fuzzies, and they're not quite on hoppers yet. So there's some of them. There's some of them that look absolutely like, oh God, that was a big meal. So, and they take it and they're fine, and you just don't touch that bin for a couple days unless you smell something. But I had that the other day where I was going through and I was looking at the hopper and I'm like,
okay.
Well, you're
why? Oh, they're eating like bush possums
exactly.
Like,
but they eat the bush possum, and then that's the thing is they eat the bush possum, then they fall out of a tree, and then they wander through the woods, and then they curl up in a stump, and they're accosted by a bat or a parrot. It's like, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
I feed it a little bit too big of a meal. I jostle the bin, it pukes. So
God damn it.
Goddamn sissy carpet. But it's I would say that it's just I've also had it where the transition from the smaller meal to the bigger meal, there are several animals that just drop it. who don't.
Yeah.
They're not okay with it. They're afraid of it. Bredli are the worst with this kind of shit. If it's not like hot, but it's a weird thing because they're reverse, where it's like it has to be hot and a bigger meal, and then they'll eat it. If it's a smaller meal, they don't want to go near it, like a fuzzy, and they almost prefer live.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. And so it ate one, and I circled back. They ate again, and I circled back and ate it again. And then today,
ate again.
I'm gonna just mess with fate and see if I can get this to go one more time. And it ate again. So it's one of these weird things, right? I'm not really sure why. Maybe they just don't feel like eating. I don't know.
And this is the female, right?
Yes.
Because let's say if it was a male, it's trying to cycle itself and it wants to get in with the girl, and
which would make sense.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's
unless it's one of those mixed sex carpets, but Nick's pretty good at sex and carpets. So
yeah, I mean,
I've never had one from him that turned out to be the other.
My only ones that changed was because they went to somebody else who mixed up which one was the boy and which one was the girl. And then when they came to me,
they fed the wrong one.
No, I did. So, although I did pair them together because she laid the slug clutch last year, and I'm like, well, clearly you're old enough and ovulating, so I did pair them, and she's in shed right now, and she looks huge. So I'm like, cool. Nice. I'm gonna get a clutch of like 4 Brisbane. Like it's gonna be
nice.
I'm not gonna do with my horribly inbred coastals. Like I love and hate that project just because I'm looking at it and I'm like, they're gonna look so cool. Oh my God, everything's brother and sister.
Yes.
Like everything.
What have we done?
What have I done? Why is this here? We can't outcross. I'll be a pariah. It's like, yeah, so
what I was gonna say to what you said about outcrossing. Would you outcross the Russian Tigers to the Brisbanes? Thinking that area is in southern coastal area.
Where's Yakapuri Depot compared to Brisbane? Is it in Brisbane?
Yes. Okay. Well, not in Brisbane.
In Brisbane.
In the area.
In the area.
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
So you wouldn't necessarily have Brisbane, quote unquote, locality carpets, but
it's
call them southern coastals, right?
I mean, or you could just call them coastals. I mean,
coastals.
Yeah, just don't they lose the Brisbane? It's still a coastal carpet python, you know. But tiger doesn't have stripes. It's not a different animal. It's still a tiger. Like it's
right. Right.
So
So here's the question: Is it better to have healthy carpet pythons than to remain with this locality type?
I bred mine together.
Right.
And I can check mark that.
Right.
And then I'm probably not going to breed them together again. At least not next year. I want the female to grow some more. And then I might take my male and I might toss him to something else just to make some coastals or just to outcross for something. I mean, I don't really see him going back to that female within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Which it might be nice. I mean, I have a bunch of red tiger stuff. He's very red and stuff like that, as opposed to like she's kind of got a lot more cream color to her. Right. She kind of looks like what your male that was over here looked like. They almost look identical.
Okay.
My male is he's got some spots and he's a much redder kind of an animal.
Right.
Maybe you want to take him and toss him to red tigers. You know, maybe there'll be stripes. Maybe there won't be. Maybe that's just a good outcross. Maybe that's just a good thing to get more blood in there.
Yeah, I don't know what the right thing to do is. I think for someone maybe like you or me, or Nick, Justin, people that have had, Balin would be another one, that have some of these original. But you were telling me the other day that I'm sort of the one in the driver's seat for a certain thing.
Yeah. Balin is trying to track down more original line tiger stuff because all his stuff has got a lot of red in it. And he's trying to get that. And he has a couple really pale tiger animals, but he really wants that original line, like bone
Yeah.
whitish kind of tiger. And he and I were talking about that. And I'm like, I feel like an idiot because I sold that entire clutch of O-line tiger stuff that you and I did. And he's like, yeah, I did too. I'm like, yeah, we suck. Like, it's like, you know, he's like, yeah, we do. So, but he's sitting there.
Guess Eric was right.
Well,
Damn it.
but he's like, but he made a very good point where he's like, a lot of the original line tiger stuff has either been outcrossed, and those animals, they're getting old now. And I'm like, yeah. So clock is ticking on that stuff.
The first carpet I bought, like really bought, that was like a serious entry level carpet was from Jason, and it was from his Tiger Jag Sib, the Tiger Jag Sib pairing, which was from Leary and him making Tiger Jags.
Tiger Jags, yep.
And these were just the
cast off siblings. Like,
you know, which is just basically coastal. Right? Let's put a fancy name to these.
The word sibling, what it was used for was to sell the non-jag animals. What it should have been used for is for as a marker to mark mixed carpets. So if you breed a pure coastal jag to a pure coastal tiger, everything that isn't a jag or a tiger is a coastal. If you bred a jaguar to a jungle, everything that's a jag is a jungle jag. Everything that's not a jag is a sibling, like is a jungle jag sibling. Now I know what his parents were.
It's a cross.
Right. But no, we had to use the word sibling, and then we have to use the word cross. So
oh, the young people.
You fools. Yeah.
But that's an 08 animal.
Yeah. That's when I graduated college.
I mean,
God.
That's an old snake.
That Talon is an 08.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's old as far as carpets go.
Well, dude, listen.
In captivity.
Well, and that's the thing is like, so Talon's an 08. He has fathered far too many babies. Like, it's just so many of his kids running around out there. We're at the point where I went on Morph Market. I think last week I was looking at carpets. There are like 3 jags that I produced out there. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I know that one. Yeah, it's Talons. Like it was, and he's still producing jags with other buddy. So.
Oh, cool. And you know, the after I bought that 08, I circled back in 09.
Grabbed another one, right?
I bought 3 of them.
Right.
And that's where the quote unquote sort of what you're talking about, that ivory bone white type of look.
So,
and the one is striped, and the other one is that one that's crazy tipped.
But here's the thing, like
white.
we know there's tiger in there. Yeah. So the best way to get to the original line stock now is to hold you down and make you breed your goddamn like breed this shit, goddamn it. It's like because you, even though that one isn't striped, it's gonna throw striped animals. So will we get an entire clutch of tigers? Fuck no. We're gonna get 2 or 3, and that's the best way to start it again.
Yeah, and the probably the other thing, and I've had this is so I have 2 jags in my collection. One is the Gamma Jag,
right? Just
because I'm gonna hold on to that. That's
forever,
that'll be a pet, you know. Because let's be honest.
I mean, yeah,
it's a beautiful snake. I mean,
it's one of those you open the drawer.
Say what you will.
I'm gonna get rid of this. You open the drawer. I can't.
No,
I can't.
No,
close it.
The jungle jag that I gave you even hurt me, but you have to send me a picture.
Dude,
of that
she's starting to get big, man. I mean, she's still in a 32 quart, but she's pounding down small rats. So I'm just gonna keep throwing them at her, and she's gonna put on some size. The other one that I got to send you pictures of is you sent me that caramel jackhead Xanic. She's gonna be ready to roll next year, so she's getting some size on her too. So
nice.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. And I have so I have the other one that I have is a tiger jag that was produced by Balin in 09.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's the one that I gave Matt Minatola. And then he was like, I'm not going to do anything with this. And I was like, well, if you're not going to do anything with it,
just like twist my arm, I'll bring it back.
So he gave it back. And, you know, the only reason why I'm going to breed that is because I wanted to have, so I don't have any female, to your point, tigers. I did. She died. But that's going to be my way around.
To be honest, you'd be surprised if you took the Tiger Jag and you cross it to the right thing. You'll get a bunch of tigers. Like throw a tiger through it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. So we'll see.
That's not a bad plan. I'm raising up a Tiger Jag. I've been kind of doing this Tiger Jag project since I started. Like Talon's kid was Echo, and then now I got the two that they kind of have that creamish color kind of Tiger Jag stuff. Very nice bald back reduced pattern. And I had the one male forever, and I just managed to produce the female to go with him 2 years ago. And I'm like, oh, thank God, finally. And
finally.
But the problem is that I got her, and I'm like, I finally have a female to breed to this other Tiger Jag. Why did I do this? Like, I'm not breeding the two of you together. Like, that's not happening. So I just have you two now, and I guess I'll figure out mates for the both of you. So but I haven't been able to get him to breed. So it's really going to piss me off if I find out I had a girl the entire time. So
here's my question about the original line Tiger stuff. Right.
Yep.
If I would to breed a Molly Ringwald tiger,
sacrilege
to that, would that be? So the reason I ask is because the tiger, well, I guess the Jag sort of takes out the. So here's my question, right? If it has Jag in it, is it original line tiger, or
I would, because
it's just as close as you can get?
It's the closest. Well, let's put it this way: an original line tiger male or female, whatever, was crossed with a Tiger Jag, and that's where your guys came from, right?
Yes.
Or Jag.
A Jag.
Yeah, a Jag.
Which would have went back to MBB Benjamin, right?
Right.
Because
it was one of his kids, right, that was crossed into that kind of stuff. So whatever. There's still original line tiger blood in there, and then you're going to cross them back to each other. So the original line tiger blood doesn't really go far. It's almost like you outcross the original line tiger, and that was it.
Right.
And then throwing Molly in there. Now, Molly is original line tiger crossed with Madame Blueberry Red.
Correct.
Now, who's to say that the Jag that was used was not MBB and Benjamin's kid?
It was.
All right. So now what you're doing is you're doubling down on the tiger and you're doubling down on the MBB.
On the red.
Right. So what is going to come out of these things? I don't know. I assume they'll be neon. Like, it's just, I assume it will hurt the eyes and the soul. So I do it.
So that's sort of, again, man, there's so many. So here's the thing with having a collection like I have, or you have, right? We have a lot of these animals that are very, very close to the original stock, right? You know, it's only like maybe a couple generations, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm starting to realize that
even though we might have gotten it later, it's still the same parents that the breeders were using, right?
That, or because we've had it for so long, like I can sit there with my caramel stock and I'm like, I get to do fun things with this. And it's like, no, you had the original shit. Like, you had original line caramel directly from the boat, directly from Paul, that I've been fucking with these many years.
Yeah.
Breeding it to itself, but then also every once in a while chucking something else in, because I was looking through old pictures of my old caramel Jags. And my first one from Todd and Carrie, which he was okay. But then like the one after that, after he bred a couple times and he died, I got one from you. And that was a Paul Harris one. And he was like brighter and he was a little bit up on the scale. And then you compare him to some of the Tiger Jags that I've been caramel Jags that I've been producing. And then you compare to some of the super caramel Jags I've been producing. It's like you're climbing up the ladder a little bit and you're just like, oh shit. Okay. Like, so, and that just comes from picking the cream of the crop and keep going and keep going.
Yeah. I think I don't want to offend anybody.
Offend everybody.
When I think of caramel, I can't think of anybody else that's really pushed that project further than you and Nick.
I've been, unfortunately, I zigged when I should have zagged. Unfortunately, I wanted to do Tiger, and then it never really kind of worked out. So I went to Jag.
Right.
And I mean, I have I have a female super caramel jag that I'm growing up. Her name is Needle because she's a horrible bitch. But
Okay.
but I she was born with no black on her. It's coming in with like maybe a couple scales, but there's no black around the saddles. There's just a couple black scales on the saddles, and that's it. So she's creamy colored, and then she's got these orange, bright orange kind of like saddle things, and I'm like, holy shit. So I would very much love to pair her, and I swear to, this is why I haven't gone out to Tinley. If I go out to Tinley and I see Todd's like super caramel tigers, I'm coming home with one, because I'm going to want to take that super caramel tiger and throw it to these jags that I've just been refining for the last couple of years to make this creature. That's what I want. So
yeah, I guess they would be another one that would come to mind. Like, I mean, you know, and I'm just talking about in the US, right? But like, I don't really, at least in my mind, I don't equate Todd and Carrie with caramels that are coastals. I would say that I look at that as more of like caramel zebras or caramel granites or caramel, you know, whatever. But straight up coastal caramel, I just think of you and I think of Nick. And it makes me think about, you know, when we started NPR, you sort of had this focus.
Yeah.
Whereas I was sort of like more of the umbrella of it all.
What the fuck is happening now?
And it's not that I haven't produced cool stuff. I have. But I haven't really done what I really wanted to do is similar to what you did with the caramel. So it's sort of made me, I've been thinking about this as of recent, like sort of like, where am I going with my collection? What am I doing? What do I hope to
achieve?
You know, what do I have a goal? What's the goal? What am I doing this for? Right. And it sort of made me think like, I totally screwed up in trying to keep it too broad and not really focus on a project. Like I think of the Citrus Tiger project. Right? It's like, what am I doing, man? Like, you know,
I should be so much higher in this thing. Like,
you're
in the weeds.
Right. And I feel that like I got too caught up in the whole like, oh, I want to make a Citrus Tiger albino or a Citrus Tiger caramel or a Citrus Tiger granite or a citrus, you know, whatever it would be. And that's all cool. But it sort of kept me from refining the actual Citrus Tiger, where I should, in my mind, I should have now looking back at it, I should have stayed focused on just trying to improve those stripes and then take a couple of those,
and breed it into and put them over here. Yeah.
Right.
And then that's the thing is like, my original breeding of like a tiger to my caramel, I thought I was going to get nothing but like these gorgeous striped things. And when I had one baby that hatched out that way, it's like shit. So now that female I've raised up and I've been constantly like, you know, I don't know, she's kind of ugly for a caramel and da-da-da-da-da. The babies she throws when she's thrown in with a caramel boy, they're gorgeous.
Right.
And this year I have her paired with my super caramel jag male. So I'm like, give me those striped caramel things that I've really been wanting for all these years. So, you know, it's what you do with that kind of stuff. It's to build the project. The best thing to do is get a bunch of them. So like I have several caramel females, like jags, non-jags, super caramel jags that I'm raising up that I just produced. And to be honest, I should have held back more. I should have a whole army of these things. But I have them all in various stages. So they're growing up, but hopefully soon I'll have a bunch kicking around.
Awesome.
Well, dude, this year I produced. I took an Exanic and I bred it to my super caramel a couple years ago, and I got those two, and I bred them together this year. So I do have two caramels head Exanic that are breeding that she's gravid. So
nice. Okay,
I have no idea what those babies are going to look like.
Do you still have a caramel Exanic, right? that you produce?
I have that he turned color. Like he got a lot of black on him. He got a lot of blue and a lot of silver. So I'm looking at him, and I mean, I know he started out like with white eyes, and he still has those like kind of white eyes, but he has a lot more Xanic to him. So I don't know if he's a caramel Xanic really anymore. I'm leaning more towards that he's just a really good looking Xanic.
Okay.
I do have him. He's got he's white underbelly, some black, but he's got a lot of blue, and he still has those like white eyes. So I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm leaning more towards it. He's going to end up being just a really nice Xanic. But this year I have a good shot of producing some stuff, and if it looks different than him, then I'm going to be like, yep, there it is. Like that's how it'll be. The problem is with him is I also fell into my own thing of you need to let it grow up. So and that's
you didn't follow your own advice.
Well, what I've done recently is for my holdbacks is I'll star them, and then I give them a year, and then if they're not hideously impressive after that year mark, then maybe they're sold. So, and that's been helping out a little bit more with that because I hatched out a caramel Posset Xanic this year, and I thought she was going to be something special, so I kind of starred her. And then as she grew and she kind of shed, she kind of just looks like a normal, like it looks like a caramel head Xanic, and I already have 2 of those. It's like she wasn't knocking my socks off, so I pulled her star. She's up for sale and stuff like that now. So and that's what you got to do.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Like let it go a year, like sort of
couple months
on them for a year. Yeah,
I have
get a feel for where they go. I mean, even if it's not something that you necessarily want, I bet you it's probably easier to sell.
Yeah,
a yearling.
It is
with some size and some color.
Yep,
of at least knowing the direction it's going to go.
Exactly, and then like with those tigers, I'm like, I don't need more tiger boys. And then as they started to grow, I'm like, fuck this. No, these are mine. Like it is, I'll figure it out. I could always use this. So yeah, that was no brainer.
Yeah, that's the thing that worries me about breeding again is like the holdback situation. Cause I've always been notorious for holding a lot back.
Yeah.
And like, my collection will have come down and then
it'll go right back. Now, you got to do it. And you got to think a bit more of like, you got to almost manage it like a sports team. You're doing great. You're doing great. Got to make room. So who here can go on the chop? Someone's got to get cut. Right. And then you know what? You talk to friends, you set them up like, dude, I have no want to do a striped jungle project. None. I have a striped jungle who has a question mark in his breeding. So he's not whatever. So I've been using him to breed with that ocelot jag.
Okay.
Because she's a mix already. So who gives a shit? So, but they threw this male that is black with a complete yellow stripe going down his back. And I'm like, he's gorgeous. I don't need him.
Damn it.
But then a friend of mine is like, I want to work with striped jungles. I'm like, I have the male for you. Like, take his ass. Like, understand this is what he's from. This is where he is. Well, I wanted to use, like, I kind of want to do a jungle jag project. I'm like, he would be perfect for that. He will throw this. He will do that. And so that's where it goes. So if I can help out somebody who's got a project that they're working on with my stuff, that's awesome. Like, Billy, you and I are talking about tigers, which is a dangerous conversation to get me in on because now I'm just like, Billy's going to send me tigers. And then if Billy wants tigers, I'll send him tigers. And then we'll all have tigers. And it's just,
Yeah, but even within that group, there's so many different directions you could go.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. We talk about there's the one to your point, right? I hatched out, I wanted to breed the 07 red tigers together. I did it, produced the clutch, sold them all except for 2. And
do you still have those?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I kept back a pair.
Breed them.
But the pair I held back was sort of peppery.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They had the
tipping.
pepper
Yeah.
And then when you start to look at it, you look back at the male that Balin used
That
to
red,
do that.
that red tri-stripe boy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that had that peppering,
dude. You imagine if you had
which
that
was
animal.
awesome.
I loved him.
So I
He
want to
was
produce
gorgeous.
that snake.
Dude, that's Talon's father. Like, I
Yes.
love that snake.
Yes. So that's as soon as they popped out, I was like, wow, that's an interesting look.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before, so I knew it wasn't anything like, anything new or anything, but I'm just like, wow, that's cool. And again, this is the cool thing about, producing carpets, right? In every clutch, there's like this.
Oh, a new project. It's like, if we had buildings, we'd have so many. But
yes.
So the thing is that, and also because you slammed on the brakes and kept those two with that peppery look.
Yeah.
There are no tigers that are like that now. Because all red stuff was crossed with MBB stuff or Russian red or thrown in with Jag projects. And now they're all like completely different looking colored reds, completely different stripes, no peppering. Yeah.
So those two really, because my 07s, I gave, I think, two of the females to you that I had.
Yeah.
The one female that I had that produced that clutch. She actually, I think, I forget how, I want to say that she had an issue with, I bred her a second time to produce them again, and she had a problem with the eggs, and she died. But I still have two of them of hair that would keep that line sort of going. So
yeah.
I think we're the weird group of the carpet people, right? Because we have a lot of the projects that for lack of a better word, let's say the founders, or what we look at as the founders have, Balin, Yasser, Mutton, Paul Harris, I'm trying to think who else, Lasik, all those kind of things. All those breeders, right? And we have animals that came from like their original stock, which is closer to, I guess they're not as inbred. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Well,
you know
I
what
would
I mean?
say that the closer you get to the original stock is you get to animals that were being imported, and then in certain lines you get closer to ones that it's almost like. In certain projects, when you go further back, you get closer to not inbred animals because everything was being imported. And with certain stuff going forward is better because things were smuggled. So it's like certain projects back is good because then you get to the original, not inbred stuff like that. But then other stuff, you got to go forward. Like I think more Darwin stuff, especially with the albino, is you get into more animals that were possibly smuggled direct from Australia, outcrossed, yada, yada, yada. So I say a lot of albino projects are going to be pretty good about that. If you go further back with, say, jungle projects, we never really talk about it, but how many jungle lines have been inbred, incrossed? I mean, it used to be you had several lines of jungle. You had to go to a lot of lines. You had to go to this guy to get his jungles because he had black and yellow this. But more and more people, as like a side thing, would have like their racks of ball pythons and their two black and yellow jungles, and then they breed them and then they get rid of them and this, that, and the other thing. So I think we're getting more and more into now is that it's kind of hard to tell different lines of jungles from each other now because a lot of them have been crossed, and also there's not really there used to be looks you could go to for the different lines to get this, to get that, and now there's
hair sort.
It's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah, I think I said this on Carpets and Coffee a couple weeks ago, but like you're right. It used to be like, Andrew Hare is one that sticks out to me, right? His jungles all had like this very unique look to them. Jake Milbrat sort of had a lot of his stock. I remember him sending me pictures a while back. We were talking about the whole poison ivy thing, but like, whether it was the tipping or whatever, just really, really like really cool looking jungles and sort of, I thought, and again, this just goes back to like what you think as opposed to what reality is. And it wasn't until sort of I had a group, I do this thing, right? I have it in my notes app. It's called like Carpet Python Diary, right?
Mhm.
And basically every day I'll go on Facebook, and I don't really answer or post or but I'll take the picture,
Mhm.
take the info, and just store it in my notes app if it's
Right.
something that stands out to me as cool. And one day it was just like jungle mania, whatever was going on, and like when I actually looked at like when I had the screen in front of me and you could see like 6 different jungle carpets all together,
Mhm.
there is really like I used to just think like, okay, it's just yellow and black.
Right.
Like when you look at it, there's different shades of yellow,
There are.
right? I
Yes.
mean, some of them are more of a lemon yellow,
Mhm.
some of them are this bright ass, bumblebee yellow, some of them are more of a gold.
Dude, I miss 50-50 jungles. That used to be a thing, is that a
Yes.
50-50 jungle was a jungle with broad ass bands of yellow and broad ass bands of black. And it was like I miss those animals. I would love those kinds of animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. So yeah, I get sort of when I look back at the pictures from the past and you
Mhm.
start to look at some of the jungles from the past, you start to see that there used to be a lot of variability
Yeah.
within jungles, and you don't see it as much, but there's still some of it there. But I think that everybody sort of focuses on that same look, though.
Right.
Right. And to your point, it's sort of melted pot. It's just a melting pot together of now we have this yellow and black snake. But like, well, shit, the snake that they made the MP logo was a 50-50 jungle
Right. Yep.
that
Yep.
Sean
Yep.
Christian had.
Yep.
That
Yep.
thing
Yep.
was freaking amazing,
Yep. Yep. And it's just that's just the way it is now. I mean, Yep. That's why I've it's all right. I have like snake ADD at this point. I'm pretty sure it's
You do.
ridiculous over here.
So we have the breeding part of it, but
Yeah.
then we also have the new additions.
My insanity, continues. So
I was saying on Carpets and Coffee that you, Riley, and Lucas, it's like watching crackheads
mhm.
like
It's not good.
getting a score.
It's not good, man.
It's like it used to be.
I need help.
Craziest thing, man, is like I used to be right there with you guys, but I really haven't.
Well, and also it's
bought
one
a
of those
snake in a while.
dude. It's the worst thing is that I'm not looking. I'm not actively.
Yeah, I
doing
know.
this.
You just
Just
like, what have I
keeps
done?
happening. It's so, yeah, dude. It's like I pick up the rough scale python this weekend, so that's another one, and it's an
Okay.
adult female. So, and that's another thing. And then I traded one of my blonde hognose snakes to my friend Dan for a Baron's Racer. So
That happened.
Then I'm trading an olive python to
Wait. Stop.
Going back. Okay.
We can't.
I can't gloss over the Baron's Racer.
Just keep
Okay.
going.
All right. Yes.
Baron's Racer.
Baron's Racer.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's kind of blue. She's not like blue, but she's also really young. So I don't know if she's going to turn bluer, but if she kind of stays the way she's at, she's kind of like a dusky bluey green kind of a deal. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And if the horn is soft like a rhino's horn because she smashed it up against her deli cup and she went like this. I'm like, oh, it bends like the rhino horn. It is just a scale on their face. What is this for? Like, and so
that's a good question.
But she's like, it's like rhino in one hand, BB gun, Barons in the other hand, assault rifle. Like it's like oh shit. Like it is something about her is just whew. I mean,
so do you have plans on breeding these?
Well, I need a male.
Or?
I need a male. And then I will do that. I do have
you're gonna look for a male.
Oh yeah, like dude, I already found a boy. I just need to. I don't have a shit ton of money, so I'm gonna wait.
Oh, okay.
And,
I got you.
If I sell some snakes, if I get more of that sweet snake money, then I will jump on that. But I also got to fill my freezer. So the objectives for this season of summertime, when I'm flush with snake money, is a ring python male, an Angolan python male, and a Baron's Racer male.
Okay.
So yeah. because,
Okay.
which I love it because I got her and I got kind of excited. So I threw up a picture that my friend had taken of, I think it was him or his girlfriend holding the Barons Racer in their
Right.
hand, which
Right.
I do not recommend. It is still a rear fang venomous snake, and you don't know how you're going to react to it. So I posted it up on my Instagram, and 5 seconds later, not even 5 seconds later, Nipper sends me an article on the dangers of the venomous, and he's like, and I'm like, and my immediate response to him was like, it's not me holding it. Like, ping, I didn't even open the link. I knew what this was, and I just sent it. It's not me holding it. And he's like, that's whole, and he just starts laughing, and I'm like, is that okay, mother? Like, is it all right? Like, I'm okay, I promise. Like, so, but he's like, that's a cool species. I'm like, yeah. He and I have gone back and forth about those a while.
Nice.
And they come in such really cool colors. They have the blue, the green, the brown. It's like they're all good looking. Like, I can't. My fear is that I'm going to be like, and now I need all of them. Like, and now I need all the colors.
Yeah.
So
that's always the fear, right?
Well, yeah, but the plan is for them is to set them up in, because they do get pretty big, is to set them up in the 3-foot cages, but then do a pass-through tunnel like I've been doing with the Timors and a couple of other things. Because then when it comes time to pair them or something like that, I can just undo the tunnel and I won't have to have too much interactions with these guys. So
gotcha.
It's kind of like a hands-off kind of approach. She's cool though, dude. Like, she's thin as a whip. Like, I mean, she's small and she's fast. And I'm like, this is what Mamba training is. Like,
it's so weird because I was cruising Facebook, right? Doing my carpet python diary thing. And as I was cruising through, this thing was white.
Yeah, there's some white ones, yeah.
And it was a Barons race, and I was like, "Oh man, this is cool! I have to show Owen this."
Yeah,
and I sent it to you, and you're like, "Well,
you're like, you were like, will you please get these already?" I'm like, funny you mentioned. Like, well, I'm glad you said something.
Shit.
It's cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
So that's the plan this summer. That's the additions you're bringing into the collection.
No, those are the ones I need to get. Like,
okay.
Those aren't the additions. The additions, the list keeps going. But it's because Argentine boas and Angolan python and Mandarin rat snake, like that list keeps going. But those,
did you get one Mandarin rat snake, or is that Riley?
Riley has,
or you have Riley's, and
I will have Riley's. It isn't still with Riley.
Gotcha.
So Riley has a male Mandarin rat snake, and he's like, "Oh, and this thing pisses me off. I'm gonna like with all the other colubrids that piss him off, he just sends it to me."
Man, you got the best of both worlds, man.
And I just
when I'm done with the python, I send it to you. He's done with colubrid, he sends it to you. Like, enough.
I had to figure out shit to send to you guys. I have to start doing dwarf monitors so that we can have the exchange. Like, it's
right.
But it's like, so he's like, I'll send you the Mandarin, and breed it, and we'll figure shit out. I'm like, okay. So I went to the last Oak show, and one of the guys I know down here, he does a lot of colubrid stuff, a lot of Asian colubrid stuff too. He's the guy who has a clutch of 100-flower rat snakes that I want him just to start eating. And then I'm no, I need to. You don't let me buy 100-flower rat snakes.
No, don't. You're supposed to.
I don't have
me. What are you doing
for these things? Riley's really bad influence, dude. Like,
yeah, I think he's broke you worse.
I don't know what's going on with me. Like, because I'm like,
it's crazy, man. Like, I'm watching you guys, and you're just like,
I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of these carpet pythons. Get me some Asian colubrids.
It's like, wait a minute,
Jesus Christ. Anyway, he had a pair of mandarins, and he came over, and I had the olive pythons on the table and stuff like that. And he goes, he also has a pet store in Jersey.
Right.
And he's like, dude, that's awesome. I love getting that like off the cuff stuff to put like in a really cool display at the pet store, because, he's like, even if it takes a while to sell, who cares? It's awesome to have there. And he's like, would you do a trade? I'm like, yeah, what do you got? And he's like, he's going over all the stuff. He's like, I have some mandarins. I'm like, sold American. Like I need a Mandarin girl. And he's like, all right, I only brought a pair with me. So if the female's here at the end of the show, we'll do a swap. I'm like, okay. And then, of course, he sold his pair of Mandarins, which I can't fault him for because they're like $400 or $500 a piece. I sold all my olive pythons, but like 2. I'm bringing the olive python to Hamburg, and he's bringing one of the other female Mandarins that he has. So,
okay, cool.
Which is the cool thing is because so Riley doesn't really know locality for the male,
right?
And he knows locality for the female, but it's not like really important kind of a deal. He just yeah. So that's good to do that.
They are cool.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah,
so,
they're beautiful snakes. And
it's one of those things that past Owen would be nervous as shit to have that thing near him because it's a Mandarin snake and Mandarin rat snake, and I'm told they only like it cold, and you have to keep them in refrigerators and they die. It's like no, they just.
Well, I think I've talked to Rob about these in the past, and the wild caught ones for sure die.
Of course.
But the captive bred ones, I think, clearly at some point somebody had to successfully keep the wild caughts at somewhat. But I think so some of them have made it. But
and
notoriously though, they don't do well.
And from what I've heard from like this guy and Matt Most and a bunch of other things like that, is that if the colubrids, if they hatch and they don't eat, put them down for winter, put them in a cold room, let them experience that, bring them back up. They'll start eating. So I'm
okay I think the captive born and bred ones though are a lot more.
They are. I mean, then that's true with everything. Solid. As you start moving away from those wild caught stuff, you get into the better things.
So we're going to put a pin in that for a second, but I want to talk before we hop off about hard to breed species, right? Because I had this talk with Riley on carpets and coffee.
I'm not doing
and you have a lot of these.
I do, and they all just stare at me.
After I talk about some of the additions I'm going to make this year, which is very few.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But so what else? What else are you adding?
Well, so
that's it.
So this weekend is the Bairns. We talked about the Mandarin. I'm going to your house and I'm getting the Angolan python because you and I are going to try that, where I'm going to grab a boy and you have a female. So we're going to try that. So that's a new species for me. Yeah. And it's very close to ball python world. And I think this is the closest I'll ever get to ball python world. So
they're so unlike a ball python.
That's
but yes,
the only reason I can go there. Like it looks like a ball python, but
it kind of does. Yes.
So that's going to be interesting. And
they're cool snakes.
Yeah,
I know. They're really cool.
I know. Dude, since you got them, I've been like chomping at the bit to possibly get into those. So, that'll be fun.
Yeah, for me, they're one of those species. It's like, am I ever going to do anything with this?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. So, I mean, my focus is Australia,
and Angola is not near
Australia. From Australia. So, with wanting to do bigger cages and stuff, you really have to be very aware of space.
You do. You really do.
You know what I mean?
Really do.
Yeah. So it's like, I could sell it, but then I'm like, well, no, Owen might want one of these. And that way, if he produces them 3 years from now or whatever,
give me a couple babies, and
I'll be like, I really want to get back into Angolans.
Or you go. Or you can take them and sell them and fill your freezer. I don't give a shit. Like, so I'm going to give that a try.
That's cool.
So that's another. So this weekend I've picked up 3 new species.
How many species are you with now? Do you have a total?
Yes.
Oh, I thought maybe you had a note.
I do.
Oh, you do.
I do.
All right, pull it up.
When I did THP, I'm like, I'm gonna need to figure this out, and I did, and I'm like, oh. So
I'm gonna take a guess. Wait,
go ahead.
Everybody out there,
hold on.
You're listening right now. Take a guess. Put in a number in your head. My guess is going to be 27.
27. All right. Would you like to know what it is?
Oh God, it's got to be 45 then.
You're in between. It is with the addition of the Baron's Racer, which I didn't know I was getting till earlier this week. It is 34 species.
Wow. That's cool, man.
It's daunting sometimes.
34 species.
Doesn't feel like that, but it is, man.
Well, this will segue great into the whole idea of hard to breed species. But but before that, so is that are you what's the goal? 45?
No, I mean, right now
there is no goal. It's just happened this way.
It just happened this way.
What? I didn't plan this.
The goal, realistically, at this point, is to produce. I always wanted to have a diversified collection and a diversified table when it came down to those kinds of things, because I really hate being, at the show where people are like, just carpets, and then they pass over. It's like, well, fuck you, sir.
Yes.
Like, it's
right.
So, but then also I enjoy the challenge. I really do. And I really enjoy the tick off the checklist to get the new thing to breed, to produce the babies. Like, and it's weird because when I get it for that first year, I'm like, holy shit, this is the best thing ever. And then I mean, dude, like, listen, I will still get excited every time I hatch a carpet python. That just happens.
Yes.
But
sure.
To see something new, something I've never hatched before.
Sure, it's an accomplishment.
It is.
It's a check to you keeping these species in a way that you're able to, reproduce them and have a variety of so many different habitats.
Keeps things interesting, and it also keeps me moving. Like, I would never have tried minnows for carpets if I hadn't had a shit ton of baby rhino rats that were eating minnows.
Right.
So it does also keep me fluid, moving, and evolving, as opposed to just the carpet python eats the fuzzy. Like, and this is all the carpet python eats.
Sure.
So there's that part.
There's something to that. Yeah. There's something to that for sure. So
I've been enjoying that, but it's just kind of seeing what I can do.
Yeah, it's so for me, I have to, my brain works in a way where I need focus, but at the same time, my brain also works in a way that, like, I'll be in moods where, I think I've talked about this with music, right? One month I'm listening to nothing but, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Right.
And the next month it's like, I'm listening to nothing but, Metallica. Then the next month it's like, how could I be listening to Metallica?
Yeah,
like
all
jazz.
You turn it on, you turn on the Metallica, and you're like, oh, and then you don't need it.
Enough.
Yeah, you don't need it for 3 months. Yeah,
right. But it's not that you don't like it.
No,
it's just that you need something to stimulate your brain.
I need to keep going. Yeah,
which has sort of led me in the direction that I went in. Right. So like, how can I focus and sort of not focus at the same time? Right. So I'm like, okay, well, my focus is Australia, right? Which carpet pythons fall into.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I can sort of still get my carpet python fix and learning about carpet pythons, even when I'm not learning about carpet pythons. So it makes me approach them from a different way. If I'm learning about an Ackie monitor, I'm going to be learning about, where they're from. And then I'll be like, oh, I know a carpet that's from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is like, kind of connects it in my head. So that's sort of like what led me into wanting to go down that rabbit hole. And to your point, it's changed how I take care of my reptiles. It's changed how I observe my reptiles, because when you're doing snakes, you could go days without going in your snake room and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not with lizards.
No, there's a little bit of a different subtle thing there.
Yes.
Yeah. They need
so you get this interaction now at play with the animal, and you're like, oh, okay. Like the blue tongue, I never in a million years thought that I would have a blue tongue, but dude, I got to tell you, the thing's like a dog.
Yeah.
I walk up to the cage. it's right at my eye level, and I open the thing, and the thing comes over with the blue tongue sticking out, and it's just sort of like sits on the edge of the cage, and it's just like looking out, like, oh, okay, are you feeding me? What are we doing? You're gonna take me out, or and it's, I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Well,
but
and I would say that also, I've gotten into this point with my reptile career where I have a shit ton of friends that are also breeding these animals and stuff like that. Like, on my list, my Woma pythons are on my list of species that I own and stuff like that. They're not here. They're with Lucas.
Right.
Like, so, and eventually they will not be mine anymore because he's going to produce them. And then after a certain amount of time, they're his. Like, and that's just how that goes. So I will remove them from my list. But until then, I'm probably going to
something will take its place.
Something, of course, will take its place. So, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff where I just want to, dude, if I could get my Timors to breed, I'd be happy.
So see, like, how you look at Timor python, how you look at Woma pythons is how I look at Timor pythons. It's like, I tried them. Wasn't really for me.
Out the door. Yeah.
Out the door.
But, still
a cool snake.
They're awesome snake.
The fact
I really like them. Lucas absolutely fucking loves them. So
he
take them. And you know what? I seriously think he's going to succeed where I failed miserably several times. Yeah. That Woma looks huge. So I think he's going to get eggs. And do I get to reap the benefits of having somebody who's passionate as fuck breed my Woma pythons for me? Yes. But it's like, what did I give up? My Woma pythons for it. Fine. For a couple years, though, or for 2 years, though, I'm going to have some Woma babies, hopefully.
Right.
Just, again, diversify the sale, whatever.
Sure.
And you know what?
Yeah.
If after I grab those babies, I start going like, you know what? These things are badass. I'm going to keep one, and then I'll have Lucas send me another one that's unrelated, and I'll raise these up. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. I have, I want to add an olive python male.
Yep.
I had, Jesus Christ, I had 2 of them, and I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened.
Some
anyway,
dude, I mean.
My female, though, she's.
Dude, some projects.
Rock solid.
Some projects just keeps giving you haymakers. I mean.
It's true, right? We always chalk it up to something we did wrong, which is possibly, possible, but we always forget the underlying thing that's there. It's like we're not trading books, we're trading animals that are alive. Yeah. And sometimes
shit happens,
You know what I mean? And,
well, it's was it the one guy who bought one of my last female olive that I produced this year?
Right.
He's apparently, this is now his like 3rd olive python that he's bought that was supposed to be a female.
Right.
Like, because he bought his original pair, and then I think he said he lost his girl and went and got another one. Turned out to be a male. Went and got another one. Turned out to be a male. Went and got another one. And I'm like, dear God. So like, you don't think I'm gonna like sex this thing 3 times before it leaves my house? Like, I'm like, I really don't want to send this dude another boy. Like, it is. I'm nervous as shit. But it's like. That happens sometimes. Like, dude,
sure.
How many times I should be drowning in Macklot's python babies at this point? Okay.
Right.
I should be able to breed fucking Macklot's pythons, but I cannot get Macklot's pythons to breed because they either keep getting cancer or being a male. Like, it is. Right. Poor Glitch has gone through several girlfriends. So
I think that's what happened with my olive. I don't know why, but I seem to think that, or some kind of heart thing.
Yeah.
With the one, not the one from you.
Yeah.
But the other one.
Yeah.
The het albino one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wonderful.
The het albino male that I had.
Well, and also you're going to mix, you think about it that way too. It's like, how many olive pythons are in the country?
Whew.
I mean,
it's a good question.
I mean, the original stuff, there can't have been that many olives brought in. So when are you going to...
I think there was 8 bloodlines originally. But to your point, right?
How many are
here?
That or did everybody get all the baby olives out of the same box?
Correct. Well, no. I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know. But my impression of things is that sort of like the idea that, well, it's an olive python, so we just breed them all together. You know what I mean?
It's all like, mixed at this point. Yeah.
Right. So it's just a mixed pot. I think the only 2. Well, the only one that I know for sure is a bloodline that's separate from the other stuff is the het albino stuff.
Yeah, but how long's that going to hang out there?
Well,
because let's put it this way: if I lose an olive python, out of my pair, I'm going to get, I have the ability to get the first olive python I see because I know what it is. It's the fucking olive python. This isn't carpet world where I have to now double check to make sure this is the right subspecies, morph, this, that, and the other thing. If an olive pops up, I can grab it if it's the right sex. And
True.
Now I have no idea what mixed bloodlines I'm going to have to be. Eventually, I think it's going to end up getting where somebody's going to breed their olive pythons and they're going to hatch out a couple albinos that they didn't know they were going to get.
That's possible.
So
I think that's probably what. So that's that at this point. I don't really have an interest anymore in producing an albino olive. If it happens, it happens.
You just want to produce olives,
but I just want to produce olive pythons. But
big babies.
The female I have is a het albino.
Right.
And so if I get a male from you, that would be non-het albino.
Yes.
So I would produce possible hets. So to your point, right, it's going to get out into the world.
There they go.
Somebody's
Off
going to have
you go,
two
guys.
hets, breed them together, and boom, out pops an albino.
All somebody has to do is buy a pair from you and breed them together, and potentially there could be an albino that pops up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, ultimately that was my plan, right? I wanted to be able to outcross them somewhat. Really, again, never really, I'm not, albino olive it's a solid white snake. Okay.
It's off-whitish kind of deal. They're cool looking. I mean, I never
100%.
I never really wanted to, because I think if you keep an all white, I don't know about you, but can you keep your albinos clean?
It's hard.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
Most of the time I open it up, I'm like, good job, you're covered in shit. Like, it's
and it seems like they're in particular, they just sort of like,
drift towards it. It's like, stop it.
Right.
Like,
let me roll around.
Yeah.
In this
It's
for a
like,
bit.
and I keep my olives on mulch and stuff. So cool. I'm going to get an off-white snake so it can be kind of brownish for the rest of its life.
Right.
Pass. Like, it is. And who knows what albino could do. I mean, the second you start getting genetic mutations involved, who the fuck knows? Of course, I'm saying this and I'm trying to breed I gave my proven breeder female the year off, and I'm trying to do with the other girl. And who knows?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I want to add that. I don't want to say what it is, but Justin has a specific carpet. You know what it is.
I do.
That I would want to add in the worst way.
Yeah.
Hopefully he produces them this year. I mean, to me, that's sort of the ultimate checklist off the carpet.
It is the closest.
It's kind of like the only thing I don't have.
Thing you can. No, it's the closest thing you can get to your dreams, but you can't cross that line. So
I can't. Yeah,
you're all the way up here, and right above that line is like Imbricata and Owen Pelly. So everything about
dancing on the edge,
you're sitting there waiting, like any minute now.
So there's that as far as carpets go. I would like to add, if it's available, to an inland male. Is it a male? No, an inland female. Yeah, an inland female from Justin's, the AAR line of that. Obviously, I need a rough scale boy. That would be something.
Well,
and
I may be able to help you with. Finally, I will finally fulfill my promise.
Right. And hopefully I'll be able to fulfill your hypo.
God. Yeah. That would be, we have to have like some sort of like, it's almost like a signing of some kind of treaty where it's like sitting across from a table, sliding them over. It's like, finally, yes.
My snakes that I wanted to add last year were pygmy pythons, and Justin has a real nice pair for me set aside. So as soon as the weather sort
warms
of
up, we get to have that
warms up
snake shipping weather.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to adding those, and that's sort of, other than I would really like to add a reduced pattern Darwin.
Yes, do that.
I would
do that
really,
because
I
really want to, but I can't. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I need you to like pick up that slack. Like,
yes.
Have you seen and that's the problem is like I think they finally came out with the reduced pattern albino one, and that thing killer. But I prefer the non-albino one.
So
it's like
I,
the contrast in the non-albino one. I'm like, the albinos are gorgeous. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I want the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. So there's that. As far as
well, let me know when you're going to order them from Todd. I might make I'll toss it a caramel tie.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, that's true.
One shipment come over. It's like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we could hook that up. I would love to add I am going to add some geckos, that's for sure.
Free range.
Yeah, free range geckos. Yeah, like Nipper.
We're doing the show and like one is slowly crawling across your screen.
Across Oh yeah.
No, he'll move in a second.
The flies will keep in check. I'm really enjoying the Underwatersaurus and the Oidura. I really like those a lot. I would love to add, obviously, Strophuris is
the dream,
very high on the list. I would love to add Amacola.
You make other buddy give you a Leachianus?
No, it's not from Australia.
And can't do it. No.
I'm not venturing into crested geckos.
Like I do not want a gecko the size of Roxy. Okay, I don't need that.
I'll stick with my blue tongue skinks for that. But I would love to add those. I would love to add. Probably one real high up on the list is the Centralian knobtail. To add those and have a nice setup for them.
I'm gonna you need a big Ziploc baggie, and every time a gecko sheds, you put it in the bag.
Dude, no kidding. They shed like crazy, and I have a bag over here for you. Oh, I have it there. It's a bag for
I will get it tomorrow. I'll get it this weekend.
Yes,
I need to have that prepped for Mad Hog babies.
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit! I got to save this for Owen. Ziploc it up,
drop it in, dude. This is and again, that's the other part of it. I have to have friends save me gecko skin. That never happened before.
Yeah, King Gorum. I would love to add those the King Gorum monitors to sort of. I would love to add Mertens, but you gotta have. We need. You just need to have Mertens in order to do that. But yeah,
once we get the Serpentarium up and running, you can add the Mertens.
Oh yeah,
of course.
That's no problem.
It's totally.
But yeah, that's really obviously I have to add blackheads. That's a big one.
Dear God, you're gonna do that again.
Yes. And that sort of would round out, besides green trees, it would round out
Australia.
All the Australian monitors.
Pythons. No, there are many others that you haven't gotten. I mean,
yeah, there's tons.
No, but except for
that's sort of
certain ones that are.
Well, obviously, we can't have King. We can't have Scrubs.
Can't have King Horn.
Owen
Pelly. Yeah.
I would love that. You're talking about rear fang venomous. I would love if it was available a night tiger. Mm-hmm. Oh, I would keep them in a heartbeat, dude. In a heartbeat.
I need to stop with this rear fang venomous shit because I'm dipping more towards Boyega and mangroves and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Like it is.
Well, my dad had them when I was a kid, and they were cool. They're really
awesome.
Cool snakes.
I need to stop. I need to stop.
I think as far as skinks, I might add like a group of Agurnia depressa, like the pygmy spiny-tailed skink.
Why not? Yeah.
Those kind of like an Aki, but in a skink form.
Yeah, and then when you have a problematic carpet, you can grab it and just rub the fuzzy on it, and then just try and see what happens. Yeah.
I need to borrow you.
Come here, you. All right.
But yeah, that's sort of like what I want to add. But so I guess for the last half hour, we're going to segue into harder to keep species or harder to breed.
Harder to breed, hard to keep, hard. Yeah.
What do you? So the sort of the idea came up, right? That me, Keith, and Rob were talking, and we were sort of saying that basically Keith was saying that, with Boelens as one of these harder to breed species, that, there's something different about them than say a python. So to me, and I thought about this more after talking with Riley, and I think the thing of it is with when it comes to these harder to breed species, to where my mind was at is that as far as pythons go, even though they may come from different habitats and different parts of the world, whether it be high elevation, I shouldn't say, high elevation, low elevation, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Cold, hot, warm, humid, whatever, dry. They basically are after the same thing, but they're utilizing their environment to sort of get to whatever that would be. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that they're trying to get an internal temperature of 82 degrees, right? So they're going to figure out whatever they have to do within their environment. So if you're a diamond python, you're going to have to, go out and bask. Whereas if you're a green tree python, you're probably already at that temperature, so you
might have to go to the
necessarily
shade.
bask the same way, right?
Or you have to get away from the sun to keep that.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you're a Darwin carpet or a Centralian carpet, or Bradley or whatever, you're going to take shade during the day and try to do whatever.
Right. Certain species
try to stay out of that hot.
Certain species are going to seek the sun. Others are going to hide from it in order to maintain that body temp. So, yeah.
So the idea was, and I think this is where I've always gone wrong with keeping different species, right? And I think this is, again, where the idea that, this species sucks, right? This species sucks because it doesn't fit into the box. So for pretty much all Indonesian, say, subtropical Australian pythons, they all sort of fall into that same box, right? You sort of can all keep them you're going to keep a Maclots the same way as you're going to keep a coastal carpet for the most part. There's really not going to be too much of a difference. Maybe they might breed at a little bit different time of the year, but for the most part, your approach is going to be the same. It's when you get into these outliers that you sort of have to say,
you got to think about it. Right? You got to do it a little different. And also it's like can I keep it at the same temperatures? Yes. Can it flourish at the same temperatures? Yes. Can I get it to breed at the same temperatures? No. And that's the most important thing that I missed from Terry's original statement about keeping, everything at the same temp, right? His approach is that he has this group of snakes that he has in one spot that's, his serpentarium thing, so how can I keep all of these species and maintain them so that I don't have to worry about all these different rooms and this and that, right? So what do they need? They need 80 degrees. So if I keep them at this, they're gonna settle in. They're gonna be fine. Everybody's gonna be the same. We sort of follow the same parameters. Blah 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 blah, and the world is happy. But they may not breed all the time, right? So in my mind, and a lot of other people's minds that listened to Terry's show way back in the day, it was sort of this idea like, oh, I don't need heat lights and heat lamps and radiant heat panels. Right.
And I don't have to worry about fire. And we can get rid of the heat tape and no more thermostats.
You set it to 80 and walk away. Yep. Right.
And I think for some species, that's actually what they need. Right. So I think why people can keep green trees and things like that at that more steady temperature like that is because
that's what they prefer. Yeah.
That's what they prefer. Right. So they're sort of easy to keep that way. But, when you're talking Bolins, White Lips, Timors, these sort of, species that are turning out to or looking to be more difficult to breed because we haven't figured them out.
Right. The ones that might
what's
need
your
an extra
thoughts
push.
on what it is?
I think there are so many different ways to skin the cat. It's ridiculous. And I think that every species might need some triggers to get into that kind of breeding sense. I would say that I have been my own worst enemy when it comes to breeding these difficult species numerous years because they're not together at the right time, or I pulled them apart for something else, or carpets normally go at this time and I didn't notice that she was ovulating in July because I was like, well, she didn't breed and all the other carpets did, and I separated. So that's my mentality now is, so my guys are doing okay. Like my Timors are growing, they're eating, they're doing their thing. I'm giving them temperature fluctuations. And now what I'm doing is I'm giving them interactions with each other. Like, so I pulled my Timors apart. They were actually together. I separated them, and then I fed them both.
Right.
And I waited for them to both finish eating, and then I reopened the tunnel. And the male was back in with the female that night. So that's what they're going to do now for the rest of my time with them. Because I don't give a shit, dude. Like I'll have eggs in September. Okay. Like, it's just like
so are you of the mindset that like the reason that so one of the topics that came up, I think this was on the Nick said this, Ryan said this, where this idea that like, the reason that people aren't producing these is because every year they sort of change something about what's going on. Right. And I sort of, well, again, that's why I prefaced this whole conversation with my thoughts. And I sort of thought along the same lines, but it's not necessarily like to me, I'm also open-minded to the idea that there might be more to it than what we think, the whole cosmic octopus type of deal. It's like, what is that trigger for Obolins that like, and one of the things that, me and Rob were talking about this is that like the idea that maybe, typically here, Northeast, right? We cool down our pythons. How long do we cool them down? A couple months? Couple months. What if you have to cool down something like Bolinai or Timors or White Lips?
Several months or
for 6 months.
Yeah. What if it's only a couple weeks? What if their food cycling is they eat every freaking 2 hours when this migratory bird comes in, but then they don't eat for 3 fucking months.
Right. I think part of the problem with a species like Bolinai, right, and the idea that you could sort of put all of the pythons into one box and sort of keep them all the same, right, is that a species like Bolinai, who may be exposed to a couple hours of UV or heat a day, right, because of where they're from, they're going to take advantage of it because they may go, I mean, I'm not really versed that well on the temperatures and stuff in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, but I'm going to assume that there could be days that would go by where cloud cover and it's raining and it's just miserable and they're not able to sort of get to that temperature. Right. So even though they are going to bask, but it's sort of like the way snakes eat, the way we feed snakes in captivity, that they're going to keep eating, right? They're not going to have a turn off because they're thinking like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to eat while I can.
Because it's going to eventually it's going to stop.
It's all going to go dry, right? So if you have a Bolins and you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to give them UV, and then they go and they bask in the UV and they're just going to stay in that UV. Is that good or bad for them? Because they're just going to try to stay there because
they don't know when the next one's coming.
They're going to try to get as much as they can.
Yeah.
Right?
What if they're being kept too hot? I think a lot of the big things is that we keep a lot of pythons and stuff like that too hot. I think darker species like white lips and Bolinai, they're dark for a reason. Same way diamonds are. They have to get out. They have to soak up as much sun and heat and UV as possible because it's going to be gone soon and then it's going to get cold. And then they need to find a place where they can bed down and hold on to as much heat as possible, whether they go deep underground or into rock crevices or find heat somewhere else. So I would say that you're exactly correct. If you give a basking spot to an animal, they're not going to question it. They're just going to use it. Right. So I've started doing the thing where I've set up my cages where they drop this to like there's a 70-degree umbrella or parachute or safety net where I don't give a shit what my guys do, like what the cages do at nighttime year round now.
Right.
Like if in August those cages drop close to 70, that's fine. It's August. They're warm up. That's fine. It's in wintertime I start moving that net further down so that cages get cooler and cooler and cooler and cooler. That's fine for carpet pythons. They'll breed at 70 degrees. But pushing some of the Asian colubrids and the Timor pythons, the white lips, this, that, and the other thing, even olive pythons, they need that drastic, deeper down cold and higher up heat. So that's what I'm starting to do with things like the white lips is give them that big temperature swing, but also provide them a big amount of space. Like the 6-foot cages is what the white lips are in now. So they have big heat panels. So the hot spot for them is quite large. So when it's on and it takes up this big area. But then they also have a lot more of a colder spot to use in this, that, and the other thing too. And to be honest, I see them more often than not over here, under the water, in the water, up high, do whatever. And then they usually are over here in the morning time. So morning time, all the snakes are out on top of their bins, right under the heat panels, soaking up the heat. End of the day, they're usually either somewhere else inside the bin. Ain't nobody sitting up top basking anymore. They're usually somewhere else. So you need that movement sometimes.
One thing that popped in my brain from listening to Scott on the last Aussie Herp podcast, Scott and Robin, they were talking about large monitors. And one of the things that they were talking about was just I'm going to totally butcher this because I sort of didn't like read up. I'm just sort of thinking of it off the top of my head. But since we're having this conversation, it sort of made me think. But like with the deep heat projectors, right? So these deep heat projectors are sort of supposed to take the place of like a radiant heat panel or, a ceramic heat emitter, right?
Right.
And they're radiating heat that supposedly gets into so it's getting into the core of the animal, right? They're absorbing that heat in a different way. So with some of these more, harder to breed species, is it the fact that they're not ovulating because they're not getting that? So
maybe
if they're not getting that heat, maybe that's not allowing them to go all the way.
Well, I would also say that
because the female goes for heat once she ovulates, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say this, that a female snake is going to ovulate when she thinks it's time to breed. And we've already discussed that there's so many freaking triggers that could cause a female snake to ovulate. Sometimes just the presence of the male will get them to ovulate.
Good, yeah.
So I would say more often than not, I think one of my major problems with white lips is I miss the ovulation. Talking with Ryan, talking with other people, the ovulation for white lips is all of a sudden she looks like she swallowed a football, and then 2 days later, gone.
So if you're not paying attention,
male's not in
looking at them constantly, you're going to miss it.
Right. So I've started to do introductions. My black-faced white lips are now going to be just like my Timor pythons. They're going to be separated for feeding. Then they're going to go back together unless I see somebody hurt somebody or they're on opposite ends of the cages. I'm going to give them the option to be near each other.
Yeah. So I think for me with that, well, let me ask this question. Do you don't cohab?
I will be.
Right? You will be.
I will be cohabbing I'll be cohabbing the black-faced white lip. I will be like doing this weird kind of semi-cohabbing thing with the adult Timors where they're separated for feedings, or if like, say if I catch them in different cages, I might close off the bridge, feed everybody, and then reopen it. So they will have constant interaction with each other because she's going to cycle. She's going to cycle eventually. And then he'll be right there.
So you're of the thinking that eventually she's going to get into the rhythm of your room. Okay.
Because and that's where, and I would agree, like the whole thing with Nick and Ryan, what they say is changing something does throw them off. I would say you could keep them the same way for like 5-6 years, but if you're doing it the wrong way, you're still not going to get anything to go.
But here's Keith's pushback on that a bit. How do you figure it out if you don't change anything?
Right. So the problem is that you have to change things, but you can't. I think more often than not, people do drastic, mind-numbing changes. Like this year, I'm going to keep them. I'm going to swing the temperature here, and it's going to be this peak, and it's going to be this low. And then next year, they change the temperatures, but they also change feed schedule. So pick one.
So and this is I think diamond pythons more than anything probably show what I'm talking about as far as you could breed a jungle carpet, you can breed a coastal carpet, and an IJ, let's say, and you don't really an IJ, you don't have to really change anything too much.
Yeah,
jungles and coastals, they're probably in the same sort of a sense. Yeah, they need sort of a nighttime drop. There's always a debate on whether or not, it used to be, you only have to take them down to 75. Nah, you got to take them to 70. Nah, you got to take them to, I think what it is though, is that they need that nighttime drop.
Right. They do. They need the swing.
Some kind of drop that's a bigger drop than what they normally would get, say in the summer of wherever you're from. Right. So if all of a sudden, like our temperatures would be they're like summertime, it's going to be what's 90s. Let's say 90 degrees during the day. And at night you're looking at like 70 degrees, which is similar to what we saw in Queensland.
Right.
And, the snakes were out and about at 70 degrees, which makes you take a step back and you go like, well, I'm thinking that's cold for them. But wait a minute, this snake is out hunting and it's 70 degrees now. So like, makes you think.
I would say that the temperature swing for carpets, mostly carpets, is not the big factor. I think it's the food cycle for them. It's all of a sudden that spigot gets turned off. So they still have that 80 something degree hot spot, 70 degree nighttime, but now there's no food.
Right. But the difference with diamond pythons, right, is that and again, I can only speak from what I've read and how I've heard people breed them. You look at the complete carpet book. This is what basically Gary Valle and he's sort of the diamond python expert, if you will. Basically, you're shortening the window of the hot spot.
Right.
So it's not that the temps at night are going to be what they're going to be, right? Obviously, they have to get colder, right? You have to keep them colder. But I think really one of the big triggers with them is that you're going from, say, an 8-hour hot spot to a 6-hour hot spot to a 4-hour hot spot to a 2-hour hot spot. And that's what what you would do. And then you would sort of go back up. At least that's how I'm following.
And that makes sense.
Start feeding them, you know? To your point, with the trigger with the feeding. So if it's so different from a coastal and a diamond, but yet they interbreed in the wild, like
it can't be that much different. And the thing is that, again, if it's in an intergrade zone, who's to say that the coastals at the top of this range are going to act exactly? They may come into a different time to cycle as the diamonds at the bottom of this range. So,
well, I think at the bottom of the range, it's going to be much colder. Right. Whereas if you go to the top of the range where the intergrade zone is, it's going to be more like where it's a coastal carpet type of thing. Exactly. It's still going to get cold, but it's not going to get as cold.
Exactly. So, intergrade zones, I think, are their own different beast. Like you got to be like all these animals in this area are all going to cycle and breed at the same time because they all live in this area. But these guys up here are not going to act like these guys down here. So that's that.
So here's it.
But
go ahead.
With, I mean, I've already experienced this because I cannot breed my bredli in my room with my carpets. They have to get kicked out into the other room. Otherwise, they will not go. And I've cycled my bredli down and I've gone, I want to say it's like every other year. Like I have 2 females. So like 1 year, 1 female breeds. 1 year, the other female breeds. And I've tried to breed them both in the same year, and one female will breed, the other one won't. They're just on that weird kind of a thing. So, and I don't do anything different. So I don't know.
So here would be my question with that, right? So you're saying that, bredli is another example of what I'm talking about with as far as like, applying the Terry fill up VPI method of like keeping everything at a certain temp and, sort of dialing it in there or keeping everything the same sort of way is that eventually the stars will align and
you'll run into a clutch
and you'll get a clutch.
Right. Yeah.
But you're not going to be able to consistently produce it. And, ever since talking with Chuck about like, I really respect the way that he's sort of approaching breeding the Halmaheras, where he's sort of not really saying that he's figured it out. He's done it, but he doesn't have the cockiness of, I've got
2 years now.
Down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, the key is like not only producing them consistently,
Mhm.
but then being able to produce them with any pair that you get.
Right.
Right. So if I gave you a pair of coastal carpets,
Could I get them to breed?
promise you,
Yeah,
you're going to
probably.
get them to breed. Right.
It might,
Doesn't matter what
it
kind.
might take me a year or two
Correct.
to get them into the
Correct.
thing. Yeah, but
Right.
yeah,
But you're going to nail it.
Yeah.
And you're going to approach it with the same sort of approach, if you will, that
into the formula.
You've always sort of looked at your formula.
That's why
your formula.
That's why I've been teasing this kind of stuff. Like my biggest fear is I'm still in this house when the other pair of Timors are old enough to go, because now I got fucking decisions to make. Because if I got let's say this Timor pair works. Let's say this Timor pair starts breeding. But no, the biggest fear is that the other Timor pair is like, let's say I have success with my adult pair.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pair I got from Rob that is they're sub-adults right now, and they're eating everything hand over fist. If I get success with my adult pairs, my big pair, I have to now set up the other pair from Rob the same way. Holy shit.
Right.
That's 2 6-foot cages with a tunnel.
Right.
So I have to do that now. Like that's terrible. Like that is so yeah, we can't be in this house so we have that success. Now, of course, like Melissa and I were talking about it because everything's we got the new cages and the olive females are going to move over and the retic moved over and we got those big cages. So I'm going to bring my Crebo out and give them 6-foot cages with the tunnel for their own. So when it comes time to breed them, I'll just unhook those. And, there's the problem is if I keep doing that, pass through 12-foot cage bullshit, I used to use those for breeding my bredli. I used to take them and chug them in these cages so they could drop down lower. And it's a lot of this kind of stuff. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but it definitely it sort of makes you think. And I guess like for me, right, it sort of just circles around to the whole thing is like when I would say a species sucks for me is that they didn't fall into that box of keeping the way I keep carpets, right? So if it doesn't fit into that box, I'm like, this sucks because it's not adapting to the way I want it to adapt. Like, and I think my flawed thinking was always the idea that they're all the same. They all want the same thing. So I have to just, approach it like that. But really, yeah, they sort of are looking for the same thing. But I'm sure that there's certain things that you have to be aware of. Again, with the bull and I basking in the UV, if you just provide it UV all day long, 12 on, 12 off, are you doing something that could ultimately lead you from not having success because, it's not triggering what it needs to trigger. Whereas like, maybe maybe the length of the day is what it needs. You know what I mean? Maybe it has to get 2 hours and 3 hours one day, and a couple of weeks later it's getting 4 hours, whatever the case would be. However you cycle
maybe it needs that inconsistency to keep it on its toes and stuff.
Sure.
Now, say it's inconsistent, and then for like a month it's consistent.
Right.
And that consistent month is what triggers it to ovulate because they got to get the eggs on the ground and incubate them during this time, so that they can have the babies during this time before things start going all over the place again. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So, I mean,
which to me is the thing that I geek out about, and I like to think about, you know what I mean?
Me too. And that's kind of why I do a lot of the species that I do, because they're fun to figure out. And if you have the success, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is this just there's so much you can try and do, and to be successful, it's kind of like, a feather in your own cap is that I got this to work. I did, not anybody else. And, and that I think is cool. And some people get lost in that. And that's why they kind of get into some of these hard to breed species and just kind of throw Jello at the wall and then get frustrated and move them on. So,
I think a lot of people don't maybe necessarily like, I don't know if they necessarily are they Halmaheras comes to mind with this, right? Like, I think a lot of people got into them probably because they wanted to be the person that bred them. And
with the fame and
right. Like I want to be forever known as the person that first produced Halmaheras. Whatever the case would be. And you have to really love the species if you want to be successful. Think of Keith. Like,
Mhm.
this must be the for him, it must be like the most exciting challenge and at the same time the most frustrating
Gut-wrenching.
challenge.
Yeah,
You know what
dude,
I mean?
I know.
You
I've been
know,
trying to
yeah.
breed gold-faced white lip for the past like 8 years.
Right.
And that's so I would say that the way you get out of your headspace of like everything must be kept the same is you get something like an Asian colubrid where it's like, oh no, it doesn't like 80 degrees. Like it doesn't like
Yeah.
heat. Oh, okay. Like the top basking temp this thing wants to get to is maybe like 80 on a good day. Like,
Right. See, for me, it was the Ackies because Ackies are looking for a hot spot of
110
140 degrees. And you're like, wait, what?
What now? It's like you
140 degrees?
You need to have those wrenches that get thrown in the
Yes.
works. And I'm not talking like a bread lie where it's like must be cooler come winter.
Yes.
Can do that. Like
right.
you want something that really like
Totally different.
These rhinos hate heat.
Yes.
They like cool. Like you need to keep them at like 82 max.
Right.
Like it is. Yeah.
It really makes you sort of,
dude. It's something
whoa.
like, well, my Chinese king rats. There's no heat on them.
Right.
There's no heat on them, and they eat like it is their like. I mean, they will gorge themselves, and you're like, you should be cold. They're not.
Right.
You should not be eating. They're shoving food in their face.
Right.
Like it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Ackies, the Kims, the geckos, all that stuff, sort of like totally
stepping out of
stepping
out of your, because when you start as a herper, when you start as a reptile person, you build yourself your little box of your species, and this is how things are done.
Right.
With my species, when you get into other things that make you venture out, it really gets your brain moving, and it really gets you kind of considering stuff, and it opens you up to a big wide world of fun stuff. And yeah, you could keep a bunch of species all the same way and all the same racks and all the things like that. And you could run into a clutch every once in a while. Many people have done this, but
sure,
you could also try to do some different stuff and see what you run into too.
Right.
Like, yeah,
I think, it just goes back to that old example that Terry used about the whole rattlesnake and the snow, and you don't put snow into its cage.
I do. It's the only way I get my rattlesnakes to breed.
Right. But at the same time, if the snake is out in the snow, obviously there has to be.
No, I don't breed rattlesnakes, honey. Stop listening to my show.
She's like, wait a minute.
I'm not yelling. That's just how I talk.
It's like
domestic at the McIntyre household.
There was Big Brother watching you, but now it's Big Mother's watching you. It's overhearing every word that comes through.
She hears all.
She knows your snake buying habits over the past months. She's very weary now that you have a rear fanged venomous.
If I keep getting rear fang venomous, she's going to start questioning my sanity. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we do quite admire the rattlesnakes when we do go herping.
Rattlesnakes are good for looking, not touching.
Yes.
It's like, don't only
touch
take pictures.
The bitey end.
No touch the venomous.
But anyhow.
Anyways,
I think we're there.
I do love these you and me shows because they usually just devolve into arguments and topics and debates and all this other stuff. And then like later on tonight, I'm gonna be sitting on my pillow, be like, why do I do that? Like it's honey, wake up. Why did we do this? Like, yeah,
it's funny, right? The shows we do, right? Today, I said to you, so just for everybody, right? This is supposed to be the book show, but me and Owen kind of fell behind with finishing reading the book. And I'm like, should we sort of wing it? And I'm like, nah, we don't want to wing it. We want to do it. It's justice. So let's finish reading it and then we'll do it. But think of some topics. And both me and you come and we're like, shit, we didn't think of any topics. All right, let's just talk. And here we are.
God, in the beginnings, and we would just kind of stare at each other. Now we have 2 hours worth of conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent.
Christ.
But I guess we'll close it out and be be paying attention to USARC. It's been a couple of weeks since the big push or whatever. Contact your senators and all that kind of stuff. Go over and join, become a member of USARC, usarc.org. It's very, very important to make sure that we have somebody that fights for the rights to keep these animals and be able to have reptile shows and to be able to buy other
animals, ship the animals,
and ship them all over the place, and all of the shit, man. Even the feeders would be trouble, I guess I better start a dubia colony sometime soon, but that's for another another show.
If it passes, we're buying an airplane hangar and we're gonna start breeding rodents.
We're gonna have to.
It's gonna have to be.
We'll get pushed into that serpentarium one way or the other.
One way or another, they're gonna force us.
But it's very important, and I think maybe in a week or two they're gonna come back from their break, and that's really when we have to hit it hard. So be paying attention for alerts and updates and all those kind of things, and hopefully it seemed like there's some good momentum behind everybody getting involved and trying to do their thing. Lucas has a giveaway going where he has a voucher. You got to go over, be a member, send him a screenshot that you became a member. You got to follow him, and there's one other stipulation that he had that I can't, but go over to Centralian Exotics and you'll be able to see that for sure. So that he's doing his part there to sort of do his help. So there's that. And then for us, info at MoreliaPythonRadio.com is our email. MoreliaPythonRadio.com is our website. If you want to see what kind of podcasts fall under the NPR network, you can go check it out there. It'll take you wherever you have to go throughout it. If you're interested in learning about carpet pythons, you can go there, and we keep updating everything slowly but surely, ticking away at that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be working on over the next couple of months little videos and stuff about different stuff that we keep. And I know you sent some stuff to
I unloaded onto Lucas all the video footage from Arizona.
Okay.
So and photos. So
be on the lookout for that. I'd like to do more stuff on the channel with just showing off different carpet pythons and such, because I just want to make sure that they get some love too. And so there's that. I'm sure, we got a couple of herping trips coming up. Looks like maybe doing Australia in October. So so there's that.
You know where you have to be, though.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's not till the end of October. The beginning of October is all yours, Mr. McIntyre. At the end of October, oh, I've missed you so. I'm just gonna be down under.
Be up against my window crying because I'm there they go.
Trick or treat.
Go away, children.
Look, I found a carpet. Trick or treat. So hopefully we'll have some good herping footage. Can't wait to herp with Nipper. That's going to be awesome. So we got that coming up.
You need to tell me when he's expected, because I need to make sure I disappear off the grid for, I've taunted him far too much. And if he's going to be on this side of the ocean, he may hurt me. So I need to.
When are we going? Yeah. We're going out there in March, April, May, end of May, beginning of June.
Is that the California, or is that
California is the end of March, but
March and then.
The other one is
Arizona.
Arizona, yeah. So, and we'll be herping with the doctor. Hello, doctor. Doctor. So that's good. I love herping with Justin. It's always a good time. Always have a good time with Justin, and get to pick his brain. God damn it, man! It's like it's crazy to think.
On the book anymore.
Yeah, but it's crazy to think. Well, shit, man. Hopefully the book is out, so then I'll have some of that. He's
dear Mr.
He's giving me little teasers, teasers.
You're gonna come up there with the book, and it's gonna have little post-its over the pages. You said on this page,
I quote,
"Explain this to me."
Yes. What is this? What is this?
What is this? What is this?
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. This should be awesome. That's all I got.
Cool.
YouTube channel, so subscribe, watch, all that stuff. Carpets and Coffees usually every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is usually when we're doing that live Yeah, and hopefully, I think probably sometime soon we're going to be doing. I don't think it's going to be this weekend, but it's going to be the following weekend where we're going to be doing the live stream for the Patreon stuff. So
yeah, this weekend I kind of got to drive all over the place.
Yep.
And next weekend better. So yeah. Definitely go check out the Teespring store. And if you want to reach out to me, it's rogue-reptiles.com and rogue_reptiles on Instagram. I will be at Hamburg early. So
when is Hamburg?
This weekend, Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
cool. All right.
Yep. You want me to grab you a coffee at the place and bring it down when I
Dude, I might drive all the way up to Hamburg.
I didn't know that was an option. Oh, God.
There you go. Here's your cappuccino. Sweet mama Jesus. I didn't think we would reunite again. Unless I needed some ammunition or was looking for rattlesnakes.
But say it's one of those times where I imagine I'd drive past you and it would just be like, look out the window as we drive past each other. And just, were you going to the reptile show? No.
Wow. But this coffee, man.
No, this coffee. Don't tell people you saw me. All right.
So. I was stupid. I didn't even ask them what kind of beans they. Oh man, I got to get back up there. I don't know where they're sourcing their beans from. I don't know what kind of roast they got going on.
The problem is now it's going to be like some sort of like like Alfred Hitchcock movie or something like that where you're going to go and it's going to be gone. The whole building's going to be gone.
Happened.
It's like, oh no, it's a Stephen King novel. It's like, it never happened. It's never here. You'll never find it again.
Damn it.
So, damn. Yep.
We almost didn't go too because it was, I think I called it was like Psalm 20 something is the name of it or something. And I'm like,
you're like, oh, this is Jesus coffee.
Just Jesus coffee? Like, what am I going to go have a coffee and be preached to? They could preach to me all day, man.
So you went and you had a religious experience.
Yes, as soon as I sipped that cup, I was like, there is a God. Yes. The nectar of the gods. I have now tasted it. Oh, it's delicious. God damn, that coffee was good. Holy shit. I don't know what it was, man, but it was so good. So, but I will say, I did talk about it on Carpets and Coffee. I was able to replicate it pretty closely because now I can do the latte art shit and all. Like, dude, I'm going all.
Well, I just imagine the next time you're gonna go, you're gonna grab one for yourself to drink and one to bring home to make sure. It's like a lab set up in your kitchen. Must analyze.
I'm thinking like our next trip, I'm gonna have like this, like like you guys are gonna bring in your camera equipment, video recording equipment, her books, and here's me with my traveling coffee station, and I'm going to be the barista at the Airbnb. Gentlemen, what do you guys want today?
I'm fine with this. You're usually up at you don't sleep anyway. You're like, I've slept a half hour. I'm ready for 3 days. What? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Good stuff.
Hey, we're still recording. We should end the show.
Yes. Enough of us rambling. But I said my piece.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch everybody next week for some more Morelia Python Radio. Good night.